Hey everyone, welcome back to TK's Tech Talk. I'm TK and this is TTKK, or better known as the Trusty Kitchen Knife. And we are back together for another unboxing video, and this time it will be the Cooler Master H500 ARGB ATX case. One thing to point out here, this is not the H500M, this is not the H500P, this is not the H500 Mesh, I think there's another one called something like that. This is just the Cooler Master H500 ARGB. And I think there's one called just H500 that does not it still has RGB, but it's not addressable RGB. That's what the A stands for, addressable RGB. So I think this case came out a little while after the other one. I'm not sure if they came out exactly at the same time, but for some reason the reviews seem like a year apart, or the ones that I've been watching at least. So we're going to open this up, and then what I will do, I'm going to try and compare this to my NR400, which already has a PC built in it. So while I open this box up with the Trusty Kitchen Knife, I'm just going to talk about why I bought this case. So I already have an NR400 and it's working perfectly fine, and I was tempted to upgrade my PC because I've been having some issues with some workloads I've been trying to do, and I decided to build a new PC. But then the problem with the new motherboards, like I was considering the Z690, I haven't bought a board by the way yet, and oh, forgot to say, let's just have a quick look around the box. So the back has some information. Unfortunately, the key information about all the fans and everything is covered up here by these lovely stickers, array of stickers. Another nice sticker there. There is actually a plastic panel inside as well as the mesh panel, and I think the plastic panel is pointless. I think it's just more like a setting thing. And then obviously this side of the case, which we already saw, so it shows the front of the case there. So let's open this up first. And I think what I will do, I'll remove, so there is actually the the plastic panel inside. I'm just going to put this to the side because I'm not really going to be using this, and I'm pretty sure that most people who buy this case won't really be using it. So let's tip this over to the side. And there we are presented with the front of the case with two huge, well you can't really see it right now, we'll see in a moment, two huge 200mm fans, and they're RGB fans. So let me just turn this around. Yeah, so as I was saying, I haven't really bought a case, a new motherboard or anything yet, but one thing I realized was the features on the ATX motherboards. There's a couple of things I'm missing right now on my current mATX build. And for that reason, I've decided that this time I want to get an ATX motherboard. So naturally, that means upgrading the NR400, which by the way is a great case. And I've also been looking at things like getting a new cooling and all of that. So, oh, I actually got a static shock there. Right, so let's remove this. Okay, let's put it this way. Sorry about the noise. I'm hoping the lighting is okay. I'm recording at a bad time of day, but looks like from what I can see, you can see everything, so it's okay. I'll just move the camera a little bit closer, and let's take this bottom cover off. Forgot there was a handle, that made things a little bit easier. Right, let's get rid of this plastic bag and have a quick look around the case, and then we'll compare it to the NR400, which does have components inside, but it's fine. It's more for a size comparison. So in case you're thinking about upgrading from something similar to a full case. So let's just have a quick look around this case. So first, let's have a look at the front. I think you can probably see them now. There's the two huge fans that are inside, and this is a nice mesh case. It does have, so typically I think these front fans, I'm not the greatest expert when it comes to cooling, but I have been watching some other videos, and the front fans generally are to pull air outside air inside the case. So that's the cooler air, and then you push it out of the back of the case. So there is a fan at the back as well. We'll have a look at that in a moment. So let's just look at the front panel first. So you can see here, it's actually slightly etched into there. I'm not sure if you can make it out on the camera, but these are two USB 3.0 ports or 3.0 ports, and these are 2.0. It's a shame there's no USB-C, but when these cases came out, I think the H500M does have a USB-C connector. Still got the power button in the shape of a Cooler Master box. I think I prefer the old, just like touch button, but not touch button, but like this one pushes in, the other one doesn't push in on the NR400. We'll have a look at that. It's got the hard drive LED, the reset button, which is tiny. There you go, just about click it. Headphone jack, microphone jack. And we have a handle here which you can easily pick it up with, which I should have realized when I was taking out the polystyrene. If we just turn this to the side a little bit, some sticky residue on the case, top and bottom, interesting. Wonder why that's there. Anyway, so we have these meshes on the side, so these also help with the airflow going into the case. If they were just blocked off, it wouldn't be as good from what I understand. And since we're on this side, let's just remove this panel and have a look what's underneath. So this is held in by 2 thumb screws. So I'm going to try and release it with my thumb. Oh wow, they're quite tight. Bear with me a moment, I'll go get my screwdriver. Okay, so I've got my flathead screwdriver to help release these screws. I'm guessing the first time they were a little bit tight, maybe just for shipping, something I wasn't aware of. So let's unscrew them now. Okay, they're supposed to stay in like this, I believe. One of them's come all the way out. That's interesting. Anyway, let's pull the side panel off. Oh, that's not the right way to do it. But anyway, that just slipped right off once the screws came off. And that exposes the back for the first time for us at least. Now, having a look around it, actually feels quite solid, to be honest. The build quality is quite good. It's got these nice rubber grommets here for the cable management. Some more holes here. It's got some holes along the top here. Not sure if you can see them there, but there's some holes along the top here, which also help with the cable management. And there's 2.5-inch bays here with these rubber grommets. So I think you put the screws inside the drive and then just slide it in. So that helps, obviously there. Plenty of spaces there for cable management. And these are all the cables which are already attached to the front panel, I believe. So there's a lot of those. Not sure exactly what all of them are for, but there's some extension cables and things like that. And then also the USB 3 ports, USB header, the power switch, power LED, and then a whole bunch of screws. So I'm not going to bother going through too much details on all of this, but all the cables and screws are there. And then on the top we have this magnetic filter, which is also the same as the NR400. And from what if I remember correctly, the top fans, you can have 2x120 fans, 2x140 fans, or one 200mm fan. You can just about see all of the holes here. So that's 200, and I believe these are for the 140 and the 120 and the 140s. In terms of radiator on the top, you can have a 240mm or a 120mm radiator, from what I remember. I'll put the link for the website in the description, and you can check out the exact specifications, because unfortunately the box was covered up, so I can't read them off there, and maybe I should have had it ready to read it out to you. So let's have a look at the back. Power supply bay at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 expansion brackets. And we have the faceplate as well as a 120mm fan on the back. So moving over to the glass side. And one thing that I like about the NR400 is that you can remove this panel without the use of any tools. Now these screws this time round, if you have a look at this, there's no thread on there, right? So it's very difficult to open this up. So what I'm going to do instead is I have to use a screwdriver, of course. I'm just going to loosen them slightly, and then we should be able to use our hand. And it also overhangs a little bit here. I'm not sure if that's by design or why it's like that, but it overhangs a little bit on all the edges, so you can see that. It's not flush, whereas the NR400 is flush. So let's take that off. And on top of the cables. Let's take this one off. And these screws should also not fall out. Maybe this was not the best way to do it. Maybe I should use a screwdriver. So already, oops, let's not break that glass, eh? The plastic's still on there, so I'm okay for now. I can make a few mistakes until it cracks. And the nice thing now is the glass doesn't just fall out, so it's actually supported here. And then we can lift it up, and that's that. Okay, so let's take a quick look inside the case. Now, one thing that I want to point off straight away is we saw the two drives at the back, and we've got these two drive bays here. So this part of the cage is metal. I don't think you can see that. Let's move it back a little bit. So this tray is actually metal, but these two drive bays are plastic, so they can just open up, pull it out, stick your drive in there, and then you can slide it back in. As simple as that. That is really cool. And this is one thing that really annoyed me about the NR400. I haven't stuck any drives in there yet, but whenever I thought about putting a drive in, oh, am I putting this in right? I have to literally open the other side of the case. I'll put that back in a moment, messing about with it. And it's a bit frustrating because they're not easy accessible. The drives are accessed from the other side, right? So you can't actually easily access the drives if you want to chain them, or if you want to put something in just for a short amount of time, like I like to do sometimes. So instead what I did was just ran a cable and had it hanging. So I'm mostly plugging SSDs anyway. So this is a nice touch to have, to be able to remove this just like that, right? So that's the drive bays, and you can actually remove the entire cage with another thumb screw, which right now definitely is not coming off with my bare hand, but I'm guessing again for shipping they may extra tighten them. I'm not sure. I haven't read the manual, if there is one. Was there one? There was one. Bedtime reading again, guys, bedtime reading. So here we have the standoffs for an ATX motherboard. Now, I personally think they could have had the built-in standoffs. I'm not a big fan of these screws, because sometimes you may have experienced that the motherboard just comes away with it. Well, that's when you're taking it out, of course. So, you know, for installing it, it's fine, but that can happen. So I'm not sure if you can see that exactly, but there are some screws, they are marked up. And apparently, you can squeeze an eATX case in here. It just may have an issue with this cable management here. So there's a shroud here, which also protects some of your cables, or makes your case look nice. And I believe you can also mount a reservoir here if you're going to have a custom cooling loop, water cooling loop. You can, as far as I know, you can mount it around here. I don't know exactly how it goes in, I haven't tried, but that's my guess as to why this space is open. So there's a lot of open space here, a lot of space to work inside the case. And without having my NR400 next to it, because I haven't compared them yet, obviously side by side, it doesn't feel so much bigger, but I know that it's bigger, because it does look bigger, but it doesn't feel like a massive amount bigger. We're going to find out obviously in a moment. So that's that for looking inside. This is the power supply case, and this also does come out. I believe there's a screw or something we have to remove, if I remember correctly. Yeah, there's a thumb screw right there at the bottom, and if we remove that, oh, that one opened. If we remove that screw, we should be able to remove, I believe this just clips out somehow, it slides out, there we go, slide backwards and out, and there we go, the bracket is out. So that's pretty cool. Gives you a lot more space and makes it a lot easier to work around your case. So let's see if I can at least plug this one back in. Oh, there we go, that was easy. And now this time when I tighten it, of course, I'm not gonna make it so tight that I can't take it out, but let's just leave that for now. I'll be wasting time. Right, so now let's put the cover back on, and then you grab the NR400, which already has a PC inside. But just to give you a size comparison and a couple of different features. So the drive bay has, forgot to mention, I was talking about it and then I stopped. The drive bay actually supports more drives than the NR400, but let me bring it and then I'll talk about that back in a moment. So there's one thing I forgot to mention, how we remove this front case, the front panel. So if you look inside here, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to catch on the camera, but I will try and show it to you. There are 3 brackets, plastic brackets along here, which are holding the front of the case in. So let's try and show that to you. Okay, so you can just about see, I think you can maybe just make it out right there where my thumb is. There's a plastic bracket. So if we just pull away at them, I'll show you. If we just push away at them like this, one, and there's one here, and one here, the case literally just slides off, and do the same from the other side. This is probably the easy way rather than trying to yank it from the front. And there we go, it comes off nicely, exposing those 2 huge fans. right? It's a big case for me to put on the video, and I am quite close to it, so I'm sorry if I've missed some of the edges during the recording, but I am trying to always adjust to make sure I'm getting it, and maybe I'll do a better job next time when I'm actually looking at the screen. And of course my camera does have a rotating screen. I don't know why I didn't think about that before, but anyway, so let me put this back together. I think I'll leave it open for now so I can talk about some of the differences with the NR400. Back in a second. Okay, so I now have both the cases next to each other, and you can see there is a considerable size difference between the two. One more thing I forgot to mention, I haven't checked it myself, but at the bottom of the case there is a removable filter for the power supply, so it just slides out like that. Makes it nice and easy to clean. Okay. Now, let's talk about the size. So let's have a look at both of them from the side. So actually the depth is more or less the same. The depth is not very much different at all. And I think the measurements are quite similar. So one thing that I was looking for when I was buying this case is that a couple of the fans I've been looking at, like the NHD15 and the Deepcool AK620. I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard of that. It's the new one from Deepcool, which has quite decent performance and even comparable to some of the Noctua fans. So that has a clearance of 164 millimeters, I believe. So that's important to make sure that you have a deep enough case. So this case is rated at 167, and I think this one was similar, and the fan is 164 millimeters. So we have enough clearance there in terms of the fan. So you can see here straight away that the length, let's put them next to each other, the length of the case. So for me, space is not an issue, but for people who do have an issue with space, it's definitely something to think about. So here you can see that there is a considerable amount of space, size difference between the two cases. I'm not sure if it's the best way to show it on the camera. Let's try a different angle. Does that help? Maybe look around a little bit. There we go. Got some flowers in the background, right? So we can see here there is some difference in size, okay? So the width is more or less the same. The height and the length is more. This can also fit a 240 millimeter AIO on the top, and I believe you can maybe squeeze in a 360 with some modification, but I think it takes a 280, and I can't remember if it takes a 360 now. I'll put that in the description. However, this one does take a 360 millimeter, definitely at the front, and on the top, again, because it's got this plastic part, and I think this is one of the differences between this and the H500P and the M. They don't have this section here. It's all at the front, and you are able to put two 360 millimeter fans. This case I got at a reasonable price. With some of the Black Friday deals, I think I paid around £40, something like that, 200 dirhams in the UAE. I'm not sure exactly what that equates to in dollars. I think it's about, I can't remember now, maybe like $50 or something, $55, something like that. So it was more about, getting the right value, because I'm not, a hardcore PC person. I've been trying to do some workflows lately which have been limited by the processor and the graphics card that I have. I actually have a graphics card. It's funny, isn't it? And I have a 3600 XT, so I'm looking at upgrading the PC. So there are definitely some differences between the two in size. And another thing is the drive bays. So let me quickly just so one of the drive bays at the bottom. So I'll open this up quickly and see if you can see it here. And I did do an unboxing of this, and feel free to check that out as well if it helps. The case is obviously a lot smaller and more manageable in size in terms of moving around and things like that. So if you have a look here, underneath this DVD bracket, you can actually fit a drive. You can actually fit a hard drive, right? Then the hard drive bay itself is very dusty, needs a clean. Okay. Look at my lovely cable management there. The hard drive bay at the bottom there takes two drives inside and one drive on top. So that can straight away support 4 drives plus the two 2.5s that can be fitted here. So that is really nice to be able to do that. So the fact is that you can actually put 6 hard drives in this smaller case. I'm sure you could stick a few more in the bigger one, but I find it really weird that I can actually put more drives into the smaller case from factory. That's really weird for me. Anyway, let's talk about some of the I/O. So on the top now, and in terms of build quality, you know, they're both very good. Especially for the price, they're both very good for the price. I've actually paid less for this case than I did for this case. I paid about £50 for this case. Front panel also comes off quite easily. Also has the option of an optical disk drive if anybody's still using that. For me, the reason I bought it with the optical disk drive is because you can actually get 2.5-inch drive bays to put inside and, you know, play about with RAID and things like that. That's the reason I got the one with the ODD. So let's talk about the connection differences. So as we saw, we had 4 USB ports on the front of this one, and here we only have 2. They're both USB 3, but that one has an additional 2, so if you want to leave some dongle or something stuck in, like a keyboard or something like that, you can change it. It has a nice, much bigger reset button. It has a, see what this is what I mean, they just click, they don't push in, so that one pushes in. So this power button, you have to push in. This one just clicks. So I think the buttons are nicer on here, but the layout is nicer on here, right? And even the accessibility, because this is on the side of my desk, so this is not very easy for me to access, but on this one, it's literally in front of you, right? Just, okay, yeah, click, click, click. Yeah, that reset button is non-existent in my opinion. Yeah, we can get it like that. And this needs a proper push, like those old school power buttons, and this one just needs a tap. So this does have some maybe slightly better finishing and build quality, but for the price, I can't really complain. And the fact that you get 2 200mm fans and a 120mm fan pre-installed, that definitely helps with the budget perspective, budget aspect of things. And to get a nice amount of airflow, so that's another reason. I had to look at loads of cases that were on offer, and one of the ones that caught my eye was this one, because it had a lot of airflow, and the reviews are quite decent. For even like a 3-year-old case, it still fares quite well against a lot of the more expensive brands. It may not be as good as, I think, what was the best one? I can't remember now. I was watching one of the videos. Gamers Nexus, by the way, guys, they have amazing videos on case temperatures and things like that, and benchmarks. So I think it's a great case. Even the plastic on the front feels like solid plastic. It's not just a cheapo material. It doesn't flex easily. It doesn't just rip away, anything like that. So if you have any questions, please do feel free to ask. I don't really know what else I'm missing. I think I've covered everything. Maybe I should start scripting my videos. But other than that, like I said, the drive bays are from this side on this case, and the drive bays in the bigger case are from the front. And this makes it a lot easier to access your drive bays, especially if, like me, you have your case closer to the desk and you don't want to keep moving it away and opening the screws from both sides and, you know, things like that. So I hope this helps you understand the differences between the NR400 and the H500. And also if you're thinking about moving up from a case this size to this size, you can see that there is some considerable difference in size depending on, are you going to be putting it on a desk? Do you have enough space around the desk? Or do you maybe need to maybe downsize to an ITX case? You might want to check out some of my videos for the Thermal Take and Silverstone ITX cases that I looked at. They're much smaller. They're like about this size. So it really does depend on your use case and what you need from that case. If you need airflow and space, then obviously this is going to be better than this. If you want to have some sort of good size with more storage devices, then this might be the one for you. So I ended the video, then realized that forgot to show you both the cases look like side by side when they're all screwed up and complete. So let's have a quick look from all sides. So this is the front, obviously. You can see this one is definitely taller than the NR400. Mostly because of this plastic mound at the top, but otherwise the height's not a massive difference. In terms of depth though, if you have a look from the top, you can see there's definitely a considerable difference in the depth. Move them to the side. Check out the glass panels. So one key difference here is that one has a full glass panel, and this one only has the top half, or top 3/4 rather. Turning to the back. So again, they both have space for one 20mm fan. What's interesting about this one is it can actually be moved up and down. You can see there's gaps there. I think you can stick maybe even an AIO in there. I'm sure both of them can take an AIO at the back if required. And power supplies at the bottom. The legs are a lot higher on this one as compared to this one. I can't remember what the power supply support is, but because this case is a lot deeper, I'm imagining that this one can support a bigger power supply in depth. And the width is more or less the same. Let's just have a quick look at the handspan. Oh, it's almost exactly the same. So they should be able to handle the bigger air coolers without any issue if you're planning to use one of those. And then turning to the final side, nothing exciting on this side other than you can clearly see there is a size difference there between the two cases. So this time, that is it for this video. Please do feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.